Thanks for watching. This is week number 4 of the HPI RS4 Sport 3 Creator Edition build-off, which is a little build-off between myself, RC Driver, RC Network, Mustang Monthly, and Photo Guy RC. There I have them all. Mustang Monthly, they were the first out with their result. They actually based it on a real car. Not surprisingly, of course, it was a Mustang. Turned out really nice. I did need to ask some American friends to shoot me some screenshots. I live in Norway, and I was actually geo-blocked from their website, unfortunately. So I haven't been able to watch any of their videos. But nice effort over there. I've seen Greg Vogel from RC Driver. He did a really cool job, really original. He turned it into a Camaro, which is based on the Hawk bootlegger. I think that really turned out pretty great. He put some off-road tires on it. Not too keen on the way the suspension worked, but that could be perhaps just me. Very original approach to turning this Creator Edition into something different. I have not seen Rich Morgan's car yet. All I know is that he's been talking tons of shit about body posts and body clips, and he's been doing that from the very start. So the only thing that I knew I wanted to have was body clips. I also think there's absolutely no shame in having body clips. This is, after all, an RC car, and I think it will make it all the funnier if you go into full detail with the rest of your build. Body posts and body clips is one of my first true loves. I really believe that there's nothing wrong with them. So, my main theme in this case was body posts and body clips. I got them in the front and I got them in the back. And apart from that, I used this HPI Porsche body. It says Create Your Dream Car. I think Greg did a great job in doing that, because late 2000s Camaro is actually a pretty cool car. So is a Mustang. I think for a lot of people that's actually a dream car. I'm not sure how a $1,200 Craigslist Toyota Celica would fit into that line of cars. But hey, Rich Morgan, at least you don't have body clips, so more power to you. I chose to go with a Porsche 911 GT3RS, so that's what you see over here. I used 0 stickers. I know other people hang everything together with stickers, Rich Morgan, but I actually used 0 stickers. I did use some extra Lexan. In the last video, you've seen that I completely rearranged the layout of the chassis in order to actually make everything fit. So rather than having the ESC and the motor sitting on one side, I moved the ESC, which is a Sidewinder 4 by Castle Creations. I moved that to the other side of the vehicle, just so I have a full amount of space in front to actually create a luxury cockpit, which was something that I wanted to have. I also fit a BPC battery cradle, and I actually hung that from the rear shock tower so I could fit my ProTech battery in that cradle. Interesting fact about that ProTech battery, this is a 3600 milliamp 3-cell. They actually have in the exact same footprint, they currently already have a 4200 milliamp 3-cell. So you can get even longer run times. This was basically, I think, the only concession that I needed to do, because to my liking it sits a tiny bit high. I do, however, think that I can get away with it, just because there's so many vents going on in this area that the battery is kind of obscured from view. And especially once it's out and this thing is on the shelf, just for display, you won't be able to see that there's a battery cradle sitting in the back. The dashboard part, or the interior parts that I use, they actually come from this Pandora kit. This is for a Nissan Silvia or a 200 SX. So you see over here you have, for example, you have the UK spec or Japanese spec dashboard with a steering wheel on the right hand side. You got some seats, you got inner fenders, inner clusters, intercoolers, radiators, you name it, and it's basically in there. Center console. What I did is I took a ton of those parts. So for example, seats, there are 2 seats in these kits, but do keep in mind that they are different. So you don't get the exact same seat pattern on both seats. That was why I was really happy that I actually had 2 of these kits laying around, so you can tell that I robbed 1 seat out of it. So I had a fully matching interior. But all this stuff, so the seats, the door cards, the center console, the dashboard, all that stuff is used from this Nissan kit to put inside my Porsche, and I think it turned out actually pretty okay. This is, I think, the most important and most time-consuming part of a build like this. So I wanted to make sure that all that stuff fitted before I went ahead and painted it. I also used, this is like an inside frame that you would put inside, for example, a drift car. In case people want to drive around, making it look like the rear bumper got torn off. They put parts like this in place. So you have, over here you actually have like a frame section which would house a rear light cluster. I actually chopped that out, flipped it upside down, and I used these parts in the front bumper just to have something to detail it with, because this Porsche body, it is quite flat in front for a lack of better wording. There's not a whole lot of detail going on. There's no air scoops or vented areas, so you need to sort of come up with something of your own if you want to detail that. So you can see in the front here I made those parts fit, put parts of a radiator behind that, and then a big radiator right in the center. Then these headlight clusters, those are actually, they come from HPI. I completely painted those up, put some LEDs in there. I do think that they add a tiny bit of detail. There's like an inside scoop part over here, and then there's some tiny deflectors right behind the front wheels. Those are actually from a Proline interior, which I still had laying around. I didn't get these parts. Usually you would get them with this body, but I didn't get them with the body, so I needed to fabricate something myself. In the back there's a huge diffuser, and that one does come with the body. Looks really cool. There's a lot of detail there, but what it lacks is a tailpipe. So I actually cut those from a 6th scale die-cast engine. That's one of the engines that I also have in my FG Dragster, for example. They come with some headers just for display. Hack those off. Managed to fit those in the back of this Porsche, and I think it actually looks cool. Adds some detail. This spoiler is something that you can get from HPI. I did hack up some ventilation in the back, just so I could fit an intercooler over there. Now there's a lot of detail going on in those painted sections, like for example that intercooler has an HPI logo. All of the front stuff is like all painted up, and that's basically, it's too much to like handle it in this video. So I'll just go through it really briefly. The interior, I painted that up the regular way, so I just painted up the black from behind, so from the inside. After that I actually used the clear overspray film to leave some of the masking on for the interior part. So everything that I wanted to appear like leather, I cut that out, peeled that off out of the clear overspray film, and I gave that a coat of PS1, a white. The PS paints, those are Lexan specific. And after that, after you etch it with that PS, you can basically use any type of paint. So after that I used the Tamiya Ts Paint. They got a lot of different colors in that Ts Paint that you would not be able to find in a PS. So in that Ts, for example, they have this cream color or tan, which basically looks like leather or like Alcantara, and it looks, I think, great on the inside of this Porsche interior. I also used some silver anodized aluminum just to add a couple of luxury details, and finished most of it off with a flat clear. I left some of the black parts, I left those glossy, and also some of the silver parts, just to give it like a tiny hint of it being like a high-end car. Now with some of those painting tricks, you can actually make what is essentially a Nissan interior, make it look like a Porsche interior. And there's a ton of different elements, not just the seats, but also the center console, the door cards, the inside mirror, all that stuff. And I think once you throw everything together, it looks pretty deceiving. Some other elements that you see on the outside, that's like stuff that you can like source around the house. It doesn't even cost any money. Like for example, I had an old HDMI cable. I used that to cut some radiator hoses for the front. I had a zip tie. I cut that into a windshield wiper. The most important part is that you make everything fit before you actually start painting. The rest of the body as well, I masked everything up with masking tape. I take great pride in not using any stickers, because I hate seeing stickers on the outside of any type of RC. On the interior I think you can get away with it, although I went full paint on this one as well. But on the outside I really rather not see any stickers. So I masked everything up. I decided to go with something which is a tiny bit of an homage to this HPI Racing logo. So this hexagon, stretched it, blended them together a tiny bit because I wanted all that stuff to appear in a light blue. And then for the main part, I wanted to have gunmetal, something that looked a tiny bit mean, but also have a couple of different shades of that. Kind of like I did in the past with my Offender body. I'm not sure if you recall that one. The same concept I used on this body, just to make it look a tiny bit more detailed, but also a tiny bit meaner. So I went with a couple of strips of double masking. So after I cut out my design, I put some extra strips of masking from front to back and also diagonally after that, just so I had actually 3 stages of gunmetal to complete. Now, I did that with a regular gunmetal, a light gunmetal, back that again with a regular gunmetal. So between every stage you unmask something. So after the first layer of gunmetal, I pulled the diagonal strips of tape off. Then I backed that with a light gunmetal. Then I pulled the other strips of tape off. And then I backed that with another layer of regular gunmetal. And then I pulled my window frames off, and then I backed that all with a black. That gives you 3 different tints of gunmetal plus your black. So then the majority of your paint job is already done. After that, what I had left to do was the light blue, also the taillight clusters, some minor details in anodized aluminum. I think it turned out pretty okay. The hardest part of this entire paint job was actually not just the shut lines, but also determining where I wanted to have my flat clear on the outside. Just because that's all stuff that you need to complete it in one go. So it's not just cutting the shut lines, but you also need to cut everything that you want to have flat clear. If you don't do it at that stage, you won't be able to see it. You're basically flying blind. So you need to cut everything, make sure you have hit every single line before you start hitting it up with your black for the shut lines. I hope that makes sense. So every little shut line you see around the doors, around the rear fenders, around the bumpers, around the hood, all of that stuff is paint. After I painted that on, I peeled the sections, the gunmetal section, which I wanted to flat clear. Double checked everything, also took some pictures of the body while I was doing that. Just to make sure that I didn't skip anything, because it is a true pain in the butt to actually backtrack it and fix it up afterwards if you are able to do it. Painted all of that, and then I unmasked the rest of the body. I think the whole fact that every Lexan element comes with a clear overspray film is the most underestimated customization point of every body. So each body has that clear overspray film. You can, if you're careful, you can carefully cut that, you can peel that, and you can use that to customize your vehicle, which is also something that I do in every paint scheme. I use the clear overspray film to my advantage. Same here. Well, when that was done, I started to glue in. I use E6000, I believe it is called. Yeah, E6000, basically shoe glue. Carefully started to shoe glue in all these other elements, like for example those tailpipes, the intercooler, the radiator, those radiator frames, the headlight clusters, but also the wing mirrors. These wing mirrors, they come from Tamiya Ford Focus body. And I customized them a tiny bit, so I actually sanded them down, chopped them down, made them fit. Yeah, put all that stuff together, put the interior in there, made sure that everything works, and called it a day. Another thing that I added since the last video are these custom wheel nuts. So this is actually, this is how you would also find it on a true GT car or a true Le Mans car. That would be red on the left side, and that would be blue on the right hand side. I can see over here. So all of that, I consider this done. This is not great running weather for me currently, so it's raining cats and dogs outside. Not sure if I'll be able to shoot perhaps a running video or a brief running video of some footage inside my workshop this week. I guess we will see about that. I live pretty off-roadish, so in hindsight it would have been better off fitting off-road tires to this thing as well and seeing what it could do off-road. But I think that this whole car is more suited to be on-road. And also my dream car would be a Porsche 911, an on-road car like the one that you see before you. I did have a lot of fun in creating this, and I had a lot of fun in talking some shit with the other guys as well. So do go check them out. Well, you know, I'll put links to all of their channels in the video description box. Also links to all of the products that I used. And there's a new link in there, which is to my HemiStorm, which will allow you to pick up t-shirts and other merchandise. And I've had a lot of people ask me about t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. And it's finally available. And to kind of celebrate that it's finally available, because it's been 10 years since I've been using this logo. I actually created a custom offering based on this honeycomb design. So basically, to celebrate the end of this build of the Porsche 911 design, I put that on some t-shirts and some hoodies. So you can check that out as well in the HemiStorm. There's a link to that in the video description. If you enjoyed this video series, I hope you did. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments box. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notifications bell as well. It's free, doesn't cost any money now, won't cost any money in the future. And well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, bye-bye.